Okay, so you've downloaded your program, you've downloaded all the maps, you've installed the program into the root directory of C drive, into a directory called Radio Mobile, and you now executed the program and you're ready to start inputting data. You'll see a map here. The map doesn't normally show up because it doesn't know where to get it from, but I'm using an existing installation of Radio Mobile. So first of all, what we need is a network. You can see we've already got a network up here, Radio Mobile course.net Radio Mobile up there, but to create a new network we click on here and it'll ask us if we want to save the old network, but because we've already got a network there, we'll go down and we shall choose the network properties. Okay, what we've got here, we'll go over here to the network properties. We've got list of all nets. Now what I've created here is a net called 2 meter phone. Now this could be 2 meter phone, data, or ATV, SSTV, something like that. It could be 70 centimeters, 23 centimeters, whatever you want to put there, and then you can just change all this information in the right hand box here. So this the name of the net is 2 meter phone, the frequency 144 to 148, vertically polarized, and the mode of variability and all the other stuff over here I really haven't touched. I've left it as default. If you are quite confident in knowing exactly what sort of area that you're predicting over, you can fill these in. Like the city, you can put your percentage of buildings, a forest, percentage of forest, and that'll be allowed in the calculation. And your soil refractivity and all that sort of stuff. Okay, so now we've created the network properties. What we need to do now is to create some systems. Systems are where all the information for the power level, the antenna gain, and antenna type and that sort of stuff is stored. So what I've done, I've created 3 systems: net control, fixed stations, mobile stations. Under the system net control, now to make this system here we just type in system name and type whatever you want to call it. You probably could call it the late shift or anything, and then you can just add that to radiosys.dat when you're finished, and it'll be there to choose at any stage. But basically it doesn't matter what you call it. Here is what you the information that separates one system from the other. Transmit power 45 watts, receiver threshold 0.25 microvolts. Pretty sensitive. You can change that to suit your current transceiver. Line loss half a dB. You're probably looking at more line loss than that. You can change that. Antenna type, omni antenna. Now you've got other choices there: cardio, corner reflector, dipole, eclipse, and a Yagi. Probably the top and the bottom one are the ones you would use there. Antenna gain, we've got 6 dBi on the net control station, which equates to 3.85 dBd. Antenna height 6 meters. An additional cable loss, yeah, if you're running long coax, you might want to add a little bit extra there or something like that if you're running an extra length of coax to get to the transceiver. Okay, that's the net control system. Go to the fixed station system. Now you can see very quickly that most is the same, except the power level is the same. The receiver threshold is 1 microvolt. The antenna is still the same. Line loss is still the same. The antenna height has been dropped down 1 meter. It's 5 meters. So that's that one. In the mobile stations, pretty much the same as the fixed stations, except for the antenna height 2 meters, which would be your sort of pretty roughly average car installation, 2 meters. Okay, so now we've got the systems sorted out. We can do OK and save all those changes that we've made there. And now what we can do now, we actually have to have some units, some radios on the network. So we go down to File, Unit Properties. Now I've already created some units because to watch me type and make mistakes is pretty embarrassing. So even though it is a video, I could probably go back and edit it later. I'd rather do it in one take, hopefully. Right, we've got units here. We'll go up to the top one, VK3BF, good old Alan. You can see here that he's got his lat and long there and his grid locator there. To enter a unit, you choose the unit, you get up here and give it a name. Type in any name you like up here, and then you want to enter the lat and long, QRA. Now your lat and long can be in degrees, minutes and seconds, and or decimal degrees, or the grid locator. Now I suggest you don't use the grid locator unless you just want a rough estimate, but the grid locator is not a great help when you're trying to get accurate bearings between two stations. Give you a bit of an example. Keith VK3FT and I live about 1.5 kilometres apart, and from where he is to where I am, it is absolutely totally different. You'll see it when we bring up the map, I hope, later. Okay, so we've put our units in there. Now I've got down the bottom here, we can enable or disable the units. You might have one there you put in temporarily and you don't want to use it with every prediction that you make, so you take that tick out of the box. Now this one here, left, center, right, that means this label can be to the left, to the middle, or to the right of that little mark there. That's that little blue mark there, that's the unit. You can change the color, the background and the foreground color if you don't like the look of that one, and you can increase the size of the icons a little bit there. So once we've got all that sorted out, we choose OK. Now what we need to do, we need to go back into our network properties, and we have to go now and we have to make those units, associate those units with a net, the 2 meter phone net. We're going to associate all these here. So we'll go to 3BF first. We've got command, subordinate, rebroadcast. Command is someone that can talk to everyone, to and fro. Subordinate would be just a station that is controlled by a command station, so like a controlled net, like a WISED controlled net would be like. Then you get to rebroadcast, which would be a repeater. So 3BF will make him just part of the network. And you can see here, the system, he's not net control, he is a fixed station, so his antenna height is 5 meters, showing there. W is a fixed station, subordinate, antenna height 5 meters, all those ones will be the same. ZGD, same there. ER, same again. Now FT, what we'll do, we'll make FT the command, net control. Antenna height 1 meter higher, 6 meters. Okay, now we've got those memberships sorted out. We can choose OK. Now this map we've got on the screen here is in quite close, okay, so you can really see the contours and the different colours there. The map we're looking at is all these different colours on here. The darker the colour, the higher the altitude. So if you look, for instance, where the cursor or the mouse is over here, the cursor, grid locator position, that's 39 meters above sea level. If you went to this darker colour here, that's 41. Over to this red colour over the top corner here, that's 43. Not much difference in altitude, but it's showing you that there is a variation. And if you want to find the highest point on the map, we go over to this little mountains with a flag on top, and it'll it looks like it's whipped up the top here somewhere, just on the edge of the map there, and it's 44 meters. right up on the top edge of the map there. Okay, speaking of the maps, speaking of the maps, we go over to File, Map Properties. Okay, most importantly down here, this section, Elevation Data Source, we need to have maps to make this program run. You'll have the maps on the DVD. You've got some choices here, from none to SRTM, DTED, DTED I suppose you pronounce it, Go Topo 30, Globe and BIL. Now we're using SRTM maps, that's Shuttle Radar Terrestrial Mapping Project, I think it was named after. The space shuttle has flown around and mapped the whole of the world. Now it's asking where the folder is. I've got 3 separate maps on here, different downloads at different times, and I'm just using this one here at the moment. So we'll hit the browse button, and you've downloaded your maps or unpacked your maps, so they'll be in the folder. I've got mine a bit differently here. Mine are in a folder on the C drive root directory, but they're in a folder called Australia SRTM version 4, but down the bottom of that we've got version 2. Okay, V2, that's the folder. You just got to highlight the folder and choose OK. Now it knows where to go for the maps. Now what I'm going to do next is that network that we've created, they're all quite close together, a few k's apart. So what I'm going to do here is change the height to 25 kilometers. Now 25 kilometers is actually like the diameter, I suppose, so it's 50 k's from one side to the other, top to bottom, left to right. Up here too, this is might be a handy little feature here. The width and the height, depending what screen resolution you're running. I'm running 1024 by 768, so I've actually put it in there, so when I go full screen it looks like proper full screen. And by the way, I'm recording my processor is working absolutely flat out, so hopefully we can get some of these maps to draw reasonably quickly, but we might have to wait a few seconds, or maybe a few more than a few seconds. So what, we've got the area adjusted. We've got to select a unit, or we can select it from where the cursor position is now or somewhere else in the world, but we're going to select FT. Here's the net control. We're going to extract the map around Keith. So what it'll do now, it's going to the map data source on the hard drive. It's only needed 2 maps because we're not looking at a big area. It's now drawing the map. And hopefully we'll see a different map to what we just saw. Okay, there we go. Ah dear. Now we've got over here, this is our little network here, and it's not looking real kosher at the moment. There's only FT and ZGD working each other there, so we'll have a look at that in a minute and see what's gone wrong there. Over to the right here are the Dandenong Ranges, and this is basically the outer eastern suburbs of Melbourne, this area here. We'll just click the show networks. It's still coming up as that. We'll just go back into our networks, our unit properties. Yeah, the reason we're not seeing anything there, our units are not showing an altitude, so they're not really on the map yet. Yeah, so we've really got problems. As you can see here, our units are way down below. So what I might do, I'll go back into the I haven't seen this happen before. Always happens when you don't want it. BF yeah, Okay, now we've got an altitude for BF. Okay, another altitude for ZGD. I don't know why I've had to do this, but normally it's all okay. Yeah, I've got an altitude. You'll see the map behind now will change when we go back into it too. I suppose it's good something like this happening, because you can see it may happen to you and you might be able to get yourself around it. Okay, choose OK. And now we'll draw the net again. Beautiful, all green, all go. That's what I like to see. Now I mentioned before that this is a controlled net. VK3FT is the net control, and WW is, as I said, only about 1.5 km from Keith, and the other stations in the net here. So Keith can talk to all these stations. To see how well he can talk to them, we can go up here and we can choose radio link. Now we'll go over to VK3FT, the net control. To WW is S9 plus 50, and you can see the power levels and stuff like that. And 1.3 k's is the distance. And if you look at these lines here from FT, the bottom line is a direct line of sight. The top line is a reflected path. So you can see there's a bit of a lump in the way here. That would be, I think, would be Tarara Road, if you know that one in Vermont. Just around about here, and then it climbs up up Hawthorne Road to Keith's place, which is up there. Right, so we can look at one of the other stations in the net, ZGD. Now Graham is more further up into the Nunawading area. You can see from Keith the direct line of sight's got a few blockages in the way, and the reflected signal is what should be working, but you can see the green all the way along there. It's a workable path all the way along that route. Let's try ER, the club rooms. Still pretty good signal. Now this is interesting. S9 plus 30, S9 plus 20. That is the difference between a combination of the antenna height and the receiver sensitivity. This has got a very hot receiver, so it's receiving a little bit stronger than this one, plus the extra 1 meter in antenna elevation, if you understand that. Now if you look up the top, yeah, it's giving you your beam heading, 260 degrees. First obstruction is at 4.09 kilometers, and distance 4.45 kilometers. Path loss 117.3 dB. Okay, so now you can see by here, like if we change FT now to one of the other units, say ER to WW, you can see I'm pretty bad from where I am down in this hole down here. My direct line of sight to the Burwood Club Rooms is not real flash, and the Burwood Club Rooms, as you can see, is down over that hill. That'd be up there where the RSPCA is, and they're down over the other side of that hill. And there's a reflected path there. But still, I get a reasonable signal into the club, and I've worked the club plenty of times from here. Let's see, let's go from ER to ZGD. That's only just S9, so, but you can see it's a pretty good path, except for ER that's over that. We'll just swap those around so you get used to seeing see ER over the top of that hill. And ZGD is actually on a hill, looking quite well out there, but that little lump over there at the RSPCA is a real killer for all the stations out this way. But Graham's further north coming down that way. So yeah, that now if I wanted to show all these stations here, if I wanted to show who could work who all at once, I would make them all command stations, as opposed to having one command station and the other's subordinate. We can change one of those to a mobile. It doesn't make that much difference, except for the fact that I've got the mobile antenna height at 2 meters. That will make the difference. And you can see, yeah, anywhere we click on this map here, it comes up with our altitude in the little box. Now if the box is not there, you go up the top here, a little one here, elevation grid, you can turn it on and off. And as I said before about finding the highest point on the map, little find peak elevation, there it is right there. And if we want to know how high it is there, it's 627 meters above sea level. And if you chose a point there and you were looking for the highest point, you can have a look here, 563, 563, we can choose that there. 577, and just keep choosing the highest number, 599, 613, and it can move around a little area there, and you can pick out the highest, but you can actually see it there anyway because it's a different color to all the rest. Now we'll go back and we'll do another zoom, and so we go to File, Map Properties. Now there's another way we can get to this file too. So this one, we put our mouse anywhere on the screen, double click, and it'll bring up the same window. Now how about we go 2 kilometers around VK3FT and have a look at that file between myself, Triple W, and VK3FT from Vermont to Vermont South. Just wait till it draws that up. It'll give us a more accurate reading. Okay, there we go. Now as you can see, I'm not good at picking a house block. I was never an amateur when I bought this block of land, but as you can see up here, if I click over there, 146, and down where I am it's 120. If I go up to there it's probably even higher, 148, a bit higher up there. Yeah, but now you can see this path from Triple W to FT. Now if we want to see, say, where this this little obstruction is here, whereabouts is that in real terms? What we can do, we can actually overlay a road map or a street map, more sense, over onto this map. But first what we must do is we need to go into our Radio Mobile program, and I'll just bring that up. So on C drive, where we've got our directory called Radio Mobile, there is a file there called map_link.txt. Open that one up. Now in this file, these maps are a lot of these maps are actually free for personal use, but not for commercial use. So you need to sort of agree that you're not going to use them commercially, and this is the way the author gets around the fact that you're using these maps. Each one of these maps up here has a semicolon in front of it, but I've removed the top 4. The last one, the US.maps3, has it still there, but you need to delete those out of the front and then save the file. What will happen then is when we go into edit this time, and we go to a directory called merge pictures, we have a list of maps that we can use. Now I'd suggest you use Internet Map Quest. It seems to work the best for Victoria. I'm not sure about other states. Internet Google Map, it doesn't look real flash, but this one is the better one, and there's also Map Point, and I think Virtual Earth's okay, but I normally would just use Internet Map Quest. What I'll do is go on the web, and you need to be connected to the web for this, by the way, and it'll download an overlay. Over here, copy, add, multiply. I've put bitwise down there, but the contrast and brightness, I'll draw the map first, because while it's coming down I can talk to you about that. When the map comes down, if the map is too dark, you don't see all your nice colours and contours and everything like that. So what you need to do is make the layer transparent a little bit. We've got a window popped up here now. What do we want to do with this map? Keep in the actual picture? Not really. Keep in a new picture? That sounds okay. Keep volatile. Now when I've kept volatile, when I go and do something, the map disappears. Or do not keep, and it doesn't stay. So keep in a new picture, okay. Now you can see we've got this street map. And if we zoom right in, it's got some quartz on there, you can't read them too well I don't think, but you zoom a bit closer and you can read a bit better. So what we do now, we'll bring back our we'll bring back FT and triple whiskey, and if we look here, that's Tarara Road running right through there, and that's the high point of Tarara Road, which I've got to try and go straight over the top of to get to Keith's place. And he's over there just off Hawthorne Road. Those of you that know this area would know it pretty well. And we're actually where are we? We're down here. Yeah, Carabrand Drive, that's where we are right now. Okay, so yeah, that and if I went and did this this here, because these stations aren't appearing on the map, there's no information. They have to appear on the map in front of you that's there. So we're going to go to FT and triple W. Now the first obstruction, we can say right here, and if we move that out of the way, that's where we're first starting to hit dirt, which is just down the end of my court. I live in, although someone called it a creek bed, hence the YouTube site Vermont Creek Bed. And yeah, that can just show you exactly where you are. Very clever, very good. And yeah, if we wanted to zoom in even closer on Keith, we go back into map properties and we can go down to 0.5, and we can have a look around at FT, nice and close. Wait for it to come up. It is much quicker when you're using it just as a computer and not trying to record the screen and the as an AVI file. There we go, FT right there. And if we overlaid a map on that, it's should show the corner of Keith Street, the two streets he's on the corner of. And we'll show him. There he is. He's right on the corner here, and that's about where his antenna is, right there. So you see, you can zoom right in. And again, Keith's not in the highest part, but there probably wouldn't be much difference actually. If you look there, you'd see 125 meters, 130 meters, 5 meters, not much in it, but yeah. So there we go. Yeah, I think that'll do for this, except for when you're doing your maps, when you're loading your maps into a folder and that sort of stuff. I think we're in the yeah, I'm just having a look through here. Having a look through these folders here. Internet, that's the one I want. You can see it the first time. Okay, SRTM, these are the maps we're using. Now you've got some choices here. Download from the internet if a file is not found on the local path, not ticked. So if it couldn't find the map, it would go to the internet. Download the internet if the file is not found on local path, and keep a copy. That is ticked. So I'll use local files only, and that will not go looking for the internet. If it goes looking on the internet, can't find anything, it slows the program down, because it takes whatever that, like a web browser timeout, 1.5 minutes or something like that. It goes for that long, and then it says, no, can't find that. What do you want me to do? Delete it? Now, a list of the files, C:radio mobile maps, and we can browse to look at that one. USGS Australia 3 arc seconds, and there's America and those ones. Now I'm not sure if that's actually a link to that NASA.gov Australia. I don't know if that links to that one, because I don't get maps. It used to, but probably the server was hammered so hard they might have stopped it. So yeah, that's another window that you might need to look at when you're setting up, and just choose OK if you've made any changes. The other maps there, like Google Map, Virtual Earth, Toporama, Terra Server, Landsat, there we go, all those other maps there. Right, and to look for web updates, you can set web updates to look for them automatically. Actual version 9.8.9 is up to date. Okay, so we've got the latest version, which is good. This program updates itself, probably do yeah, it depends. Let's have a look now. It depends if people make lots of suggestions. It's updated 2 times a week sometimes, and other times it doesn't get updated for months. So yeah, 9.809 is the current version of it. Okay, alright, that'll do for that sort of setting up. We'll come back and do some more on the next video.